Tonight, as Iran and the U.S. signal openness to more peace talks, Donald Trump draws a red line.
This whole thing is really about no nuclear. They cannot have a nuclear weapon.
Plus, dueling blockades in the Strait of Hormuz. A U.S. jury says Ticketmaster and Live Nation illegally monopolized the ticket sales industry.
Absent successful appeal, Live Nation and Ticketmaster may have to divest one or more sectors of their business.
What it might mean for Canadian concertgoers. Worries that a proposed airport expansion will bring a surge in deadly pollutants.
This is the first time that I've lived here where I've really thought about moving.
We've got the ABCs on UFP's ultrafine particles.
From CBC News, this is The National with Erica Johnson.
Thank you for joining us. Adrian is away. The message from the Trump administration tonight, tightening the screws on Iran, is working. But there is so far no sign this ceasefire will lead to durable peace. The Pentagon says that 0 ships have gotten through its blockade of the Iranian port traffic. But the Islamic Republic is threatening to expand its own blockade from the Strait of Hormuz to the Red Sea and the Gulf of Oman. As Katie Simpson shows us, while there is lots of talk about new talks, the ceasefire is running out of time.
The Americans attempting to project strength through new social media posts. This is the military might, the U.S. says, enforcing its new blockade, claiming there's been no traffic in or out of Iranian ports in 48 hours, nearly a dozen ships ordered back to shore, in part by radio messages from the U.S. Navy.
The U.S. has announced a formal blockade of Iranian ports and coastal areas. If you do not comply with this blockade, we will use force.
On Iranian state TV, the regime warns of retaliation, threatening to block more shipping routes, including through the Red Sea. Despite the tense posturing, all sides appear open to more formal peace talks.
Those discussions are being had, but nothing is official until you hear it from us here at the White House.
Pakistan would serve as host if more in-person negotiations are held, the U.S. says. Senior Pakistani officials traveled to Iran to keep the lines of communication open, while Pakistan's prime minister is in Saudi Arabia, shoring up support for peace as other regional leaders step in as well. We are making the necessary suggestions to reduce tensions, extend the ceasefire, and continue the negotiations, says Turkey's president. The ceasefire expires next week. So far, neither side has agreed to an extension. Peace talks stalled after Iran said the U.S. wasn't trustworthy, while the U.S. blamed Iran for refusing to abandon its nuclear ambitions.
If they don't, we're not making a deal, okay? So there's no deal. This whole thing is really about no nuclear. They cannot have a nuclear weapon.
During an interview with a conservative broadcaster, Donald Trump suggested the end of the war is near, and along with it, he promised lower fuel costs.
And it's going to come dropping down very big as soon as it's over, and I think it can be over very soon. So if they're smart, it will end soon.
Trump is trying to change his tone on gas prices after he said they could get even higher by the time the midterm elections take place in November. If that's the case, it will be a massive liability for Republicans.
And Katie, Republican lawmakers rejected a plan to rein in Trump's powers.
Yeah, Republicans have control of the Senate, and they use their majority to vote down a resolution that would stop the president from using military force without congressional approval. It means Republicans are giving Trump the space to continue with this war.
Thanks for this. That's Katie Simpson tonight in Washington. Now to a conflict that remains very hot, Israel's invasion of Lebanon. Following talks with Lebanese officials in Washington, Israel says it is still weighing a ceasefire. But the Israeli prime minister stressed that the goal of the talks was to dismantle Hezbollah, saying he's moving to reinforce Israel's military positions in southern Lebanon. Local officials say more than 2,000 people have died in Israel's offensive so far. The first American pope is on his first major international trip as pontiff. Chris Reyes now on his message as he clashes with the Trump administration over his comments about war.
An adoring crowd in Cameroon as Pope Leo continued his first international trip, a 10-day visit to Africa.
I think we've really had a wonderful opportunity to, if you will, continue to build bridges, to promote dialogue.
It's a strikingly different reception for the American Pope from the highest office of his home country, where clapback continues from Trump's party faithful.
If you wade into political waters, I think you should expect some political response, and I think the Pope's received some of that.
For days now, it's been a war of words between Pope Leo and the Trump administration, sparked by the pontiff's criticism of U.S. actions in Iran.
I'm not a big fan of Pope Leo. He's a very liberal person.
Then there's these Christ-themed images shared by the president in recent days.
This conflation of a very messianic American politics and of a Vatican who's restraining this happens at a time when there are two Americans, two US-born men embodying this. This is extraordinary.
This Catholic historian says more concerning is that the Trump administration seems to be claiming authority over the Pope.
If we read what they mean, is the leader of Western Christianity is no longer Rome, it is Washington, D.C.
The Italian prime minister, a Trump ally, has weighed in, saying she sides with Pope Leo.
It's ridiculous.
And from this former Republican representative, a blunt demand.
President Trump owes Christians an apology.
With still days to go on his African trip, Pope Leo so far sharing a broader message.
We can live together in peace. And so I think that to promote that kind of image is something which the world needs to hear today.
While not directed at Trump, also an indication that the Pope isn't going to stay silent on matters of world affairs. Chris Reyes, CBC News, New York.
Mark Carney and Pierre Poilievre faced off in the House of Commons for the first time since the Liberals secured a two-seat majority by sweeping 3 by-elections. Ashley Burke now on the new battle lines.
Liberal caucus celebrating Mark Carney's new majority era and the latest MPs that helped get them there.
I do have a big grin on my face. Grand sourire.
The Prime Minister introducing the winners of Monday's 3 by-elections.
Canadians have placed their trust in the government's plan. We now have reinforcements to help implement that.
With a new advantage in the House of Commons, Mark Carney returned to face off against Pierre Poilievre.
Why doesn't he follow our full plan to reduce gas prices by 25 cents a litre by getting rid of all the taxes for all the year?
What we are not doing is what the Leader of the Opposition is proposing, which is to substantially increase the deficit, something he's regularly against.
What he is not doing is increasing the deficit. It's only up by 100% since he took office, Mr. Speaker.
Carney later hinting at the 4 MPs who defected from the Conservatives to join his team.
Mr. Speaker, to learn a lesson, you have to have ears to hear. There are some on the benches opposite who've been listening, Mr. Speaker.
But some on the opposition bench are lining up to publicly support Poilievre. Sources say there's talks of giving him until September to see if he's doing better in the polls.
Are you worried about more crossers? No, I'm not. I feel like the leader has the confidence of caucus.
We're united behind Pierre Poilievre to lead us into the next election.
Pierre has grown our movement to historic highs.
Sources say the Liberals are continuing to court their colleagues across the aisle. Their hope to land more floor crossers so their majority isn't razor thin. Ashley Burke, CBC News, Ottawa.
Christine Fréchette has been sworn in as Quebec's 33rd premier, becoming the second woman to ever hold the job.
La première ministre du Québec, Madame Christine Fréchette.
She promised a different leadership style than François Legault, who resigned as the government slumped in the polls. With just months before the next election, Fréchette says her focus is Quebec's economy, promising several affordability measures. At least 9 people have been killed and 13 others injured after officials say a 14-year-old opened fire at a middle school in Turkey. Sarah Levitt on the tragedy, the country's second school shooting in as many days.
A scene of panic and chaos outside a middle school in south-central Turkey as a shooter targeted children inside. Kids running for their lives, others dropping from windows to get away. Turkey's interior minister says a 14-year-old student came in and opened fire. Authorities say the student shot and killed at least 9 people, 8 students and a teacher before shooting himself. 13 others were wounded, 6 of them critically. Terrifying moments for students who are around 10 to 14 years old. The governor says the teen had 5 firearms and 7 magazines, and that it's believed he got the weapons from his father, a retired police officer. Local reports say the father has since been detained. It's the second school shooting in as many days in Turkey. On Tuesday, an 18-year-old former student armed with a shotgun entered a high school in southeastern Turkey. This witness says the gunman was shooting anybody in front of him. At least 16 people were hurt. The gunman later killed himself. School shootings are rare in Turkey, and only those 21 and older can receive a license to own weapons. Some of the children injured in Wednesday's shooting are recovering in hospital. Prime Minister Mark Carney spoke to Turkey's president and offered his condolences. Sarah Levitt, CBC News, Montreal.
Sudan is marking a grim milestone tonight, 3 years of relentless civil war, leading to widespread famine, violence, and displacement. As Canada pledges millions in new funding for aid, Ithel Musa shows us how massive the need is.
At this displacement camp in North Darfur, families uprooted by Sudan's deadly war collect water. This desolate outpost has become their refuge. This mother of 8 says conditions were so dire back home, her children sometimes went without food. According to the UN, more than 19 million people are facing acute hunger, and some 14 million have been forced to flee their homes. Sudan descended into civil war after a brutal power struggle erupted between the Sudanese armed forces and a paramilitary breakaway group called the RSF. Life is hard and we are already exhausted, says this man. Drone attacks happen all the time, so we have to sleep on the streets. The UN says the war has killed an estimated 150,000 people, and there are reports of sexual violence against women and girls. So widespread, human rights groups say it's become a defining feature of the conflict.
I think one of the reasons why sexual violence is so prevalent is because the perpetrators feel that nothing's going to happen to them.
The UN has accused the RSF of also carrying out ethnically targeted killings, torture, and disappearances. The agency also claims they're being backed by the United Arab Emirates. Observers say both sides are getting outside help.
It's very important to understand that the Sudan Armed Forces also is getting support from countries like Turkey, Iran, and Egypt.
At an international donor conference Wednesday, Canada committed $120 million in new aid funding. But delivery efforts are complicated by another global conflict. The U.S.-Israel war with Iran is disrupting key maritime routes, and rising fuel costs could delay critical humanitarian shipments.
The price of importing any kind of, basic assistance are clearly going up already,
which could deepen a humanitarian crisis that has already reached catastrophic levels. Ithel Musa, CBC News, Toronto.
Tonight, we have new details about a cross-border gun smuggling scheme. U.S. weapons brought into this country linked to 10 crime scenes across 2 provinces. As Thomas Douglas shows, one of them was a brazen Toronto shootout caught on camera.
Late one night in a Toronto recording studio, partygoers were captured on video flaunting an arsenal of firearms. A dangerous scene soon leading to a wild shootout, with nearly 100 rounds fired out in the open. Now CBC News has learned at least one of the weapons recovered was traced to a smuggler whose handguns were found at 10 crime scenes across Ontario and Quebec.
He was making multiple weapon purchases in a very short period of time that he then transported up to Canada.
Former Florida trucker Erhan John Eyre this month was handed a U.S. prison sentence after admitting in a plea agreement to moving guns across the border for $1,000 each. Weapons including a pistol, later seized by police in Hamilton the day Tobina Obiaga was shot and killed. Another Glock recovered in a Thunder Bay drug trafficking investigation, and then there was that brazen gunfight in Toronto.
I'd love to say this is an isolated incident, but the reality is guns are coming over the border in so high numbers.
Welcome to High Noon Guns.
Eyre legally bought more than 24 firearms from Florida retailers like this one, apparently using this electric grinder to obliterate the serial numbers and keeping a handwritten record of money he's owed in Canadian dollars.
If you look at the reason why people are buying guns here and smuggling them into Canada, it's money.
Toronto police say among crime guns seized last year, then traced, 86% came from the U.S., leading some to call for stronger measures at the border.
There's a real strong likelihood that we're catching not a great percentage of them.
Among the guns acquired by that Florida trucker, several wound up here in the Toronto area. 18 of the firearms smuggled into Canada have never been recovered. Thomas Daigle, CBC News, Toronto.
A major verdict by a jury tonight against Live Nation, the giant concert company that owns Ticketmaster.
This is a really big landmark win for the state AGs that brought this case.
Why it was found to violate antitrust laws and what that could mean for concertgoers. Next. Plus, a data breach at a popular travel booking site puts personal information at risk.
I'll be going in and changing my passwords and deleting any credit card information.
How to protect yourself from financial scams. And later, a tiny hero gets honored with a big monument.
He found more than 100 landmines and other explosives.
The rat whose good work made the world a little safer. We're back in 2. Police in Australia are investigating a claim that singer Katy Perry sexually assaulted the Australian actor Ruby Rose more than a decade ago. Earlier this week, Rose posted on social media that Perry sexually assaulted her at a Melbourne nightclub. A spokesperson for Perry called it dangerous, reckless lies. A New York jury has found Live Nation and its subsidiary Ticketmaster operated as an illegal monopoly. The entertainment giant was the focus of an antitrust lawsuit brought forward by dozens of U.S. states. Makda Gebrselassie explains the verdict that could have far-reaching consequences.
A long-awaited ruling in a monumental U.S. court case affecting the live music industry. A jury in New York found Live Nation, the company that owns Ticketmaster, having operated a damaging monopoly in live events and ticketing. It also found some customers have been overcharged, a decision that could see the company facing hundreds of millions of dollars in damages.
This is a really big landmark win for the state AGs that brought this case.
It comes after years of anger from fans over high-priced tickets and poor service. The civil case started with the U.S. Department of Justice and dozens of states filing suit. But last month, the DOJ and some states settled with Live Nation, the company admitting no wrongdoing, but agreeing to making some changes, ending exclusive booking deals with several amphitheaters, capping some fees, and agreeing to a $280 million fine. But that didn't go far enough for some. More than 30 states continued the fight. Now winning, California's Attorney General said, this verdict shows just how far states can go to protect our residents from big corporations that are using their power to illegally raise prices and rip off Americans. Live Nation isn't backing down. Writing in a statement, the jury's verdict is not the last word on this matter. Pending motions will determine whether the liability and damages rulings stand. As for next steps, it's the judge's call to make on how to remedy the monopoly and any damages. Another potential consequence:
absent successful appeal, Live Nation and Ticketmaster may have to divest one or more sectors of their business.
In this country, the Consumers Council of Canada is also looking to sue Live Nation and Ticketmaster.
We're going to press this issue as far as we can in this country to get redress for everyone really down the chain, from the fans to the artists to even venue owners.
Whatever happens in the U.S., customers there won't likely see the impact anytime soon. Magda Gebrselassie, CBC News, Toronto.
There is growing concern about a category of air pollution caused by tiny ultrafine particles.
The spikes are 2 to 3 times higher than what the World Health Organization's good practice standards say are safe.
The serious health implications and the calls for regulation. Plus, it's been 10 years since BC declared an emergency over toxic drug deaths, and some say politics is getting in the way of saving lives.
Every day, somebody is going through what we went through almost 4 years ago, and it was the worst day of our life.
The National breaks down the stories shaping our world next. The British public broadcaster, the BBC, says it's cutting 1,800 to 2,000 jobs, roughly a tenth of its total workforce, citing significant financial pressures. The broadcaster is currently in discussions with the government over its funding and future ahead of the renewal of its royal charter next year. Hotel reservations are at the center of a new scam after travel giant Booking.com suffered a major data breach. Some say confirmed itineraries are being used against vulnerable customers. Karen Pauls shows us what to be on guard for.
Compromiso, la seguridad.
The email warning from Booking.com wasn't in English, but Amy Worms understood it was trouble. Hackers had gotten access to her booking details, including contact information.
I'll be going in and changing my passwords and deleting any credit card information.
With hotels and vacation rentals, Booking.com has something for everyone.
Booking.com is the world's largest travel site.
As we put so much more valuable information into the servers of 4 or 5 companies, the prize of being able to get into one of these 4 or 5 is so great. The resources that are put into hacking get greater every day.
The company tells CBC News banking information was not released. It will never ask guests to share credit card details by email, over the phone, WhatsApp, or text. And it won't ask for a bank transfer. But this expert says the phishing scams from this data breach are more sophisticated.
They wait for it to get close to the date. They email you convincingly that your booking has been canceled, and you need to contact them immediately. And now we're in panic mode. And that's when we start to make mistakes that they capitalize on.
People posting on social media sites say they've already been contacted by scammers or had big unauthorized charges on their credit cards. David Shipley says Canada is far behind places like Europe when it comes to consumer protection.
In Europe, they're going to face up to 4% of their top line revenue as a fine. So that actually gets their attention.
The Canadian government says it launched consultations 2 weeks ago on its national anti-fraud strategy, and a spokesperson says it's just weeks away from establishing a new financial crimes agency. Karen Pauls, CBC News, Winnipeg.
A decade on, the pain and loss of the overdose crisis continues in BC. 10 years after BC declared a public health emergency over toxic drug deaths, the crisis continues.
We know that the current response that we offer is not adequate.
Did politics play a part in limiting the province's response? But first,
they're not currently regulated, and so we were interested in trying to estimate, how these pollutants contribute to mortality.
Growing concern about a new category of airborne pollutants. So tiny they can pass through the lungs and into the bloodstream. Ashley Fraser shows us where you'll find ultrafine particles in your community and why scientists say they have the potential to cause major health problems.
Ultrafine particles. As the name says, they are tiny and not visible to the naked eye. But they're everywhere, including in the air right here, highly concentrated by the highway, and also over there, at Toronto's Billy Bishop Airport. And we're in between the two, in the Bathurst Quay neighborhood, in the southwest part of the city. And I'm down here, driving through the area with environmental epidemiologist Professor Scott Weikenthal in what his team calls the urban scanner.
Well, maybe, Scott, you could just tell me what we're doing right now inside this vehicle.
Yeah, so this is an example of one of the vehicles that we used to conduct the first study, really showing that these pollutants called ultrafine particles contribute to premature mortality in Canada's two largest cities.
We are going to monitor how many ultrafine particles are in the air, and this device tells us what's going on.
Exactly.
So right now I'm seeing 14, it's going up to 17, then it's going down.
You can see that that green number is showing how many particles there are about the size of a sugar cube. So right now there's about 20,000, which is elevated. Usually in a sort of residential area without many sources, you might see around 2,000 to 5,000. So this is definitely saying that there's something going on here.
So UFPs, they are tiny airborne pollutants that are produced by combustion like vehicles, airplanes, and trains. And they are 1,000 times smaller than a human hair, and about 25 times smaller than PM2.5, which is one of the particles used to measure air quality. They are so small that once we breathe them in, they enter deep into our lungs, into our bloodstream, and can reach anywhere in our bodies.
They're not currently regulated, and so we were interested in trying to estimate how these pollutants contribute to mortality with the hopes of informing, future regulations.
Weikenthal's study, the first of its kind in Canada, found that UFPs contributed to around 1,100 premature deaths a year in Montreal and Toronto.
We looked at both cause-specific and non-accidental mortality, and we saw increased risks of both. So increased risks of dying from heart and lung problems and just mortality overall, as well as things like lung cancer.
So right now I'm seeing 55, 56.
Yeah, so
the airport's just down there.
Elevated, yeah.
The highway's back there. And it's crazy how quickly it fluctuates.
There are more studies like Weikenthal's that have been conducted around the world linking ultrafine particles to respiratory diseases. Plus, multiple studies show increased amounts of ultrafine particles around airports.
49, 71, 70, 84.
Yeah, so the wind must be blowing sort of towards the airport today, which is why, yeah. So when we get on the sort of south side of the Gardiner, that's when we're seeing the highest
spikes,
the highest levels, yeah.
And that's where the residents we spoke to, they will live.
We're on the rooftop of where I live, and just to the north of us is Lakeshore Boulevard, and then in behind that is the Gardiner Expressway. Busy car traffic that direction. And then over this way is the airport. So we're sandwiched between an airport and a busy roadway.
Joan Prowse has lived in her co-op building since it opened in 1989.
How many people are actually familiar with the air quality study that was done by the University of Toronto?
She is also the chair of the Bathurst Quay Neighbourhood Association.
What's interesting is that my unit faces south, which faces the airport.
She's been raising awareness about air quality in the neighborhood.
So there's respiratory problems, there's cases of dementia. Down the hall here we have Brenda is my neighbor, and Brenda has a respiratory problem, which is debilitating.
Brenda Roman has lived in this building with her husband for 4 decades and spoke to CBC News back in 2024. She has to wear an oxygen mask to move around.
It's called COPD, and my COPD is emphysema. It is not curable. And what it does is limit my ability to breathe. You can tell that I'm very short of breath.
Brenda's health has since declined, and so she was not able to speak to us again this year.
The problem with air pollution and disease is that the onset of the disease comes far enough after the exposure that it's very hard to know. I'm not a scientist, but I do know that the one thing that I did very wrong was to live here for 38 years.
But can we link these illnesses in the building directly to ultrafine particles? Weikenthal says there are many variables that lead to health issues.
So for people who are experiencing things like asthma or COPD or dementia, those things are certainly consistent with what we know about the health effects of these particles, but we certainly can't say that definitively that's why they got these things.
Now, in 2013, the City of Toronto wrote a health impact assessment about the Bathurst Quay neighbourhood, which modelled different pollutants in the area.
The medical officer of health, its conclusion was that there was already contaminants in our community and that there needed to be further testing. And so we were really concerned, especially when it was validated by this health impact assessment.
So she found transport and air quality researchers who were keen to understand the air quality in the community.
Well, that's it's pretty good. So we'll see.
You could clearly see that the direction of UFP is right from the airport.
Marianne Hatzopoulou is the Canada Research Chair in Transport, Decarbonisation and Air Quality. She worked with Scott Weikenthal on that first-of-its-kind study that used this urban scanner car.
This is the same unit that was installed in the urban scanner.
We just had a spike, basically.
93,000.
Wow.
There you go, 89. Just a while ago, we were reading 8,000. It went up tenfold.
In response to Prowse's concerns, Hatzopoulou and her co-author Greg Evans created the Bathurst Quay Air Quality Study and monitored the area over a 4-year period. Her team tracked how much the airport versus the highway were contributing to higher levels of ultrafine particles in the air, along with other pollutants.
By having monitoring stations on all sides of the neighborhood, we could really get a good estimate as to what the exposure of the people in the neighborhood is.
Their study found that the biggest contributor to high ultrafine particles in the area were from the airport. They found that UFP spikes exceeded 100,000 particles per cubic centimetre.
They discovered that there indeed is the spikes when the planes are taking off and landing are 2 to 3 times higher than what the World Health Organization's good practice standards say are safe.
The World Health Organization describes 20,000 particles per cubic centimetre for a 1-hour average as high, and recommends that governments integrate UFP monitoring. Which brings up Prowse's most recent concern about her neighbourhood. Ontario Premier Doug Ford says he wants to modernise Billy Bishop Airport.
Our government intends to declare Billy Bishop Airport a special economic zone.
Ford plans to implement Bill 5, which allows the province to override planning and environmental regulations, like allowing bigger jets to land on the island.
Something that the chair of No Jets TO, Norm de Pasquale, has fought before, when his group petitioned and stopped the airport's expansion over 10 years ago.
When you expand for jets, you're going to double the number of fuel tankers that are going to the island airport, first of all. And when you double the number of passengers, you're going to, essentially force a lot of traffic down a road that is like a cul-de-sac.
Larger jets means higher ultrafine particles. And I can't see a world in which this proposed expansion is not going to increase ultrafine particle concentrations.
But despite Ford's plans, it could take some time to get full approval.
And residents like Prowse are still concerned about how increased pollution, including UFPs, will impact the neighborhood. And how worried are you?
I'm really worried. This is the first time that I've lived here where I've really thought about moving.
But despite a growing amount of evidence to suggest that ultrafine particles could have an impact on our health, there is still no regulation worldwide like there is for PM 2.5.
What's interesting is that the evidence base we now have for ultrafine particles is actually greater than what we had for PM 2.5 at the time when the first health guidelines were released for PM 2.5.
We reached out to Health Canada about whether there are plans to regulate UFPs in Canada.
In an email, they said while they don't have UFP regulations, they are reviewing the available science to identify knowledge gaps and help guide research and information needs for potential future action.
We need to make sure that becomes a regulated substance everywhere, not just in my neighborhood, but everywhere across the country, that we start to test for that because it has health effects on people.
So, although there are still no regulations against UFPs worldwide, Scott Weikenthal said we need more studies like his linking UFPs to mortality because, Erica, that is most likely the thing that will encourage regulation.
And Ashley, if we live near a lot of this combustion, can we prevent breathing in UFPs?
Yeah, so the scientists I spoke to said limiting your exposure is key, keeping your air quality in your home clean, stay indoors, wear a mask if you're worried about it, try using a good air purifier or filter, but obviously those are expensive, and scientists say it shouldn't be up to the public to mitigate these risks. They all pointed to regulating, at the source, encouraging cleaner fuel, more electric vehicles on the road, and more public transport.
All right, thanks for this. Ashley Fraser in Toronto. Now, we want to tell you about a new tool CBC News is testing out. If you scan this QR code, which you also saw during Ashley's report, it will take you to a space where you can join a conversation about the story. You can ask questions, share your insights, and hear from others. Ashley's also going to be popping in with answers and to learn what matters to you. Coming up, 10 years into BC's public health emergency, critics claim the government isn't adequately tracking the toxic drug crisis.
It's very surprising how little we know given how much emphasis we are putting on addiction treatment in this crisis.
Could politics be the problem when it comes to finding life-saving solutions? That's next. Faced 10 years ago with a sharp increase in toxic drug deaths, BC declared a public health emergency.
It needs the extraordinary step of invoking additional authorities.
But since that 2016 declaration, more than 18,000 British Columbians have been killed by drugs.
Every day, somebody is going through what we went through.
So, what went wrong with the province's emergency response? As Yasmin Renea reports, critics claim politics may have stood in the way of solutions.
This was one of the last pictures that I took of Liam.
Mother's Day 2022 was the last time Janet Milbrat saw her son Liam.
We had a hug and I said, love you, be good. He goes, love you too, Ma.
The 26-year-old was found dead, alone in his apartment just days later after an overdose.
He wanted help. I think he would have eventually sought it out. He didn't get a chance.
Liam is one of more than 18,000 British Columbians killed by toxic drugs since 2016, when the province declared a public health emergency.
This is an extraordinary challenge to us. It needs the extraordinary step of invoking additional authorities.
It gave the provincial health officer sweeping powers that created a vast support system aimed at saving illicit drug users. There were more supervised consumption sites, naloxone kits, and better data was gathered. But overdose deaths kept climbing, fentanyl the main culprit. Then COVID hit and homelessness rose too. Then politics started to shift.
I'm against the drug dens next to children's playgrounds.
Under this NDP government, illicit drug use, and yes, even drug trafficking in hospitals are not just tolerated, but they are endorsed.
And we've had enough, quite frankly, of David Eby and these drugs and handing out free crack pipes.
A decade on, critics argue BC squandered its extra powers and backtracked on commitments like restricting access to uncontaminated drugs because politics got in the way.
I think the political calculus was that it was too risky to continue them.
Dr. Perry Kendall was the provincial health officer who declared the public health emergency.
I think the political pushback agenda started to impede the response was back in 23, 24.
BC's premier says it is time for a different approach.
The government banned public drug use after growing public safety concerns, backing away from a core part of its decriminalization strategy, which aimed to reduce stigma, then scrapped decriminalization altogether earlier this year.
The pilot hasn't delivered the results that we hoped for.
I think what's helpful is looking objectively.
Drug policy experts like Cora DeBeck say that was a mistake, driven too much by optics on the street.
Public disorder was there before decriminalization, it was there during decriminalization, and it is there now after decriminalization.
The government is now focused on drug treatment, including expanding involuntary care.
We know that the current response that we offer is not adequate.
Debec says it's hard to know if the treatment approach is working because the government isn't collecting enough data.
It's very surprising how little we know given how much emphasis we are putting on addiction treatment in this crisis.
Having a range of
Health Minister Josie Osborne says there's no silver bullet.
And it's important for all of us to learn and to try new tools, to listen to the experts and make public policy decisions too in the context of the society that we're living in.
This is just a picture of him. It would be.
After losing her son, Janet Milbrat says she voted for the BC NDP for the first time because of its focus on harm reduction.
Every day, somebody is going through what we went through almost 4 years ago, and it was the worst day of our life. He was a kind of a fun kid, lots of smiles.
She says the priority should be keeping people alive long enough to get help.
And BC's toxic drug crisis is being blamed for preventable harms during pregnancy and during the first year of life. That's the finding of a report released Wednesday by Vancouver's medical health officer.
This is comparable to the maternal and infant mortality statistics we would see for some of the poorest countries in the world.
The report says drug-related overdose is now the leading cause of maternal death in Vancouver, many happening during the first 3 months after birth. Health officials also point out that babies exposed to toxic drugs during pregnancy are nearly 4 times more likely to die in their first year of life. With Prime Minister Mark Carney's focus on affordability, you may have heard him touting his middle-class tax cut. So, as Canadians prepare to file their taxes, the CBC's fact-check team looks into how much it could actually save you.
We cut taxes for 22 million middle-class Canadians.
How much money does this actually save you? Here are the facts about Prime Minister Mark Carney's middle-class tax cut. Effective July 1st last year, the lowest marginal personal income tax rate was reduced from 15% to 14%. That applies to the first $57,375 of your taxable income, regardless of how much you make. Since it took effect halfway through the year, you'll only see a 0.5% reduction for your 2025 taxes. You'll see the full 1% reduction for the 2026 tax year. Carney says this cut is
saving families up to $840.
He's referring to 2-income households there, and only when the full 1% cut kicks in. Single-income households are projected to save up to $420. But in June, the parliamentary budget officer said Canadians will be saving less than what the government projected. On a per-person basis, the average tax filer is estimated to save $190 on their 2026 taxes. Depending on your situation, the savings can change. A 2-income couple with a child is expected to save about $750 on their 2026 taxes, and most single Canadians and seniors are expected to save less. The average single Canadian with no children in the top tax bracket will save about $350. There's a lot of different possibilities based on income brackets. To find out how much you'll save, on the Parliamentary Budget Office website, you can read this legislative costing note that breaks it down. If there's another claim you'd like us to fact check, send us an email at ask@cbc.ca.
Coming up, Cambodia makes a grand gesture for their famous landmine-sniffing rat.
He found more than 100 landmines and other explosives.
How they honored his life of service, next in our moment. This is a giant rat statue recently unveiled in Cambodia. It's dedicated to the country's most heroic rat, Magawa, remembered for sniffing out over 100 landmines. Apopo, a nonprofit organization that trains animals to detect mines, built the statue to honor Magawa's life of service to the country. Their grand gesture makes our moment.
Magawa is Apopo's and the world's most famous rat. This rat started to work operationally in the minefields. He found more than 100 landmines and other explosives.
We made the statue to commemorate Magawa. It's a reminder of the work that Popo has done in Cambodia to help in the landmine clearance efforts.
In Cambodia here we have a lot of mines they left very deep under the land, so it makes it hard for the farmers. So I think it's really important.
We were very lucky to have this rat Magawa. He was most successful. He gave all what he was about to give us.
This monument, it's a reminder to the international community that there's still a job here. We will stay in Cambodia until the job's finished.
During his time, Magawa cleared more than 141,000 square meters of land, which is equivalent to about 20 football fields. And he is the only rat to have received this gold medal, which is considered the highest award for gallantry that an animal can receive. Cambodia, unfortunately, is believed to have still 6 million landmines waiting to be discovered. From all of us at The National, thank you for being with us. I'm Erica Johnson in Vancouver. Take care.